Oh, cute shoes. All right, very good. Commissioner Okon, could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Eggenberger.
Here.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Janowski.
Here.
Commissioner Okon here. Commissioner Singh absent. Commissioner Watkins.
Here.
Commissioner Weber. Here. And Chairwoman Zuber.
Here. Thank you. All right, we have an agenda of 4 items this evening. Is there anything to add to the agenda from staff?
The only change that we have is we had a request from Wendy's to be removed from the agenda. They're still working on some things internally, so they've asked to be removed. So we recommend removing item number 4 from the agenda and moving up the master plan item accordingly.
Hey, any objection to that? No? Hearing none?
You need a motion.
Yeah, we need a motion.
I move to accept the agenda as amended.
Support.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Foster. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Oh, I forgot to introduce staff. I'm so sorry. We have Patrick Sloan, our township planner, and Aaron Schluto, and we also have our legal expert, Sarah Gavis, here with us this evening. So I want to just acknowledge that they're all here. And Commissioner Singh just arrived a moment ago. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah. So very good. So we have any communications from Patrick? Anything that you want to report on?
No communications outside of what was in the packet.
Yep. All right. Very good. Well, item 1 on our agenda is a public hearing. And if anyone wants to speak on that, once we're ready for you, we will open a public hearing and you will have 3 minutes to speak if you're a member of the audience. And we'll ask the project sponsor to come up and say a few words after Patrick gives his report. So item number 1 is 0002-SLU-7819. It is the mobile gas station and convenience store. This is a special land use for parcel number 002-99-0002-707, also known as 8773 Haggerty Road. This property is located at the southwest corner of North Haggerty Road and Joy Road. And the proposed use is redevelopment of an automobile filling station and convenience store. Patrick. Oh, we don't have minutes, sorry. Getting beside myself.
Thank you. The request before you this evening for the mobile station is the existing station located at 8773 North Haggerty Road, which is at the southwest corner of North Haggerty Road and Joy Road. And it's bounded by Old Haggerty Road on the west side. And the site is located in the C3 zoning district, which is the regional commercial zoning district. And in the C3 district, automobile filling stations, gas stations, they're special land uses under only certain circumstances. One of those circumstances is that it's a special land use to redevelop an existing gas station. So because this gas station is existing, they're doing a redevelopment project. That redevelopment project is technically a special land use, which is why we're having a public hearing and a separate special land use requirement for an existing gas station, because that's an ordinance requirement in the C3 district. The site is about 1.5 acres, and it's bordered mostly by industrial uses and commercial uses. The site currently has 12 pumps on the north side of the station, 12 gasoline pumps, and the proposal is for those pumps to remain in their current locations so that the gasoline pumps and the gasoline station area use won't change. There will be proposed demolition of the convenience store and reconstruction of the convenience store farther south. The existing convenience store is just under 2,400 square feet. The proposed convenience store would be larger, proposed to be 6,000 square feet. And then finally, there's a proposal for the reconstruction of the 3 diesel pumps on the south side of the site. And these diesel pumps are proposed to be shifted southward with a similar configuration angle of being angled basically from northwest to southeast. And I'll bring up the plans here to better illustrate. So this is an aerial photo of the existing site where this canopy here, that's kind of in the central part of the site, that's the existing diesel pump. And that area is proposed to be shifted southward so that the existing gasoline pumps under this canopy here, and then farther south of that will be the proposed convenience store, and then these diesel pumps proposed to be shifted southward. There are currently 3 diesel pumps, and proposed are 3 diesel pumps, so the number of pumps will be the same. The orientation of the drive-in will be proposed to be the same, where cars will come southbound on Old Haggerty. They will enter the diesel pump area at an angle, and then they'll exit onto North Haggerty Road. So all the outbound traffic will go on to Haggerty Road. One of the differences in the plans is that, I'll bring these up here. There's going to be separate access for the diesel pumps and the gasoline, so that if a truck is coming to fill up and use the diesel pumps, then they will not be using the same drive as the gas pumps. And there's no way someone going to fill using the gas pumps will be able to use the diesel pump driveway. So just minimize that. So on this page, north is to the right, and so south is to the left. So here are the proposed diesel pumps, and there's a dedicated drive there just for the trucks using that. So any trucks that are using the gas pumps, there are curb cuts here on the north side of the site. And the last part of the site construction is the removal of a car wash. There's a small car wash building located on the far south side of the site that'll be removed without replacement. So for a change recently, we're seeing the removal of a car wash and not a new one.
Wow.
For an automobile filling station, the zoning ordinance section 6.02C includes several standards for lot area, width, setbacks, access management, and a number of other development standards for gas stations. There are a number of existing nonconformities with the existing station, and some circumstances where the applicant will be applying for variances based on some of the proposed areas where the site doesn't comply. The lot area does meet the minimum of 1 acre for a gas station. The maximum lot coverage for a gas station in the ordinance is 10%. The proposed lot coverage is 16.46%. The applicant has applied for a variance from that requirement. There have been other gas stations in recent years that have gotten much higher lot coverage variances. So that's something that'll be evaluated when the Zoning Board of Appeals looks at that variance request. For the lot width, the minimum required lot width is 150 feet, and the site meets that requirement. If there's additional right-of-way dedicated along Old Haggerty Road, that lot width will be below 150 feet, but that would be creating a nonconformity where the lot width is the same, but there's a dedication that makes it narrower on account of a requirement that may happen by Wayne County. So that lot width may be lowered below 150 feet, but that would create a nonconformity and wouldn't necessarily be something that required a variance. For the setbacks, the zoning ordinance includes several setback requirements for front, side, and rear yard setbacks for gas stations, for both the building, the canopy, and the pump islands. And there are several existing nonconformities for especially the gasoline pumps that are within the setbacks from Haggerty Road there at the bottom of the page. Those existing gas pumps that are there, those are existing nonconformities. There are some proposed variances for the setback of the convenience store building is less than 85 feet from the right-of-way line of North Haggerty Road, which is on the bottom, and Old Haggerty Road on the top, which is to the west. The building setback for a front yard is 85 feet, and the applicants have applied for a variance. The practical difficulty for a variance in this case is that due to the lot width being narrow, an 85-foot front yard setback is impossible to meet. There's overlapping front yard setbacks from the Haggerty side and the Old Haggerty side. So there's more than likely a practical difficulty there. That it'll just be a matter of what the circumstances are and what the relief granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals would be in that case. The front yard of the gas canopy and the gas pump from North Haggerty Road is less than the minimum front yard setback. These are existing setbacks that are there. They're not proposed to change, but they'll be included in the ZBA's application in terms of its evaluation of all the variance requests with the entire development. And then finally, the front yard setback for the diesel canopy is less than 50 feet from North Haggerty Road, and the diesel pump island is less than 40 feet from North Haggerty Road. These are two new variance requests for the diesel pump canopies here, which is on the left side of the page. One of the items to be evaluated by the Zoning Board of Appeals will be that the canopy and the pumps for the diesel setback, the diesel pumps are less than the front yard setback on North Haggerty Road. And one of the reasons the applicant is requesting the pump and the pump islands and the canopy to be that close to the road is that behind where the trucks stack up, if there's a large semi-truck that pulls in and fuels, they want that semi-truck to be far off of Old Haggerty Road, and also to leave enough room so that if there's a truck filling up, we can still get a garbage truck into the dumpster area to unload the dumpster. So that's one of the reasons that this diesel canopy is so far into the setback. And because it's an outbound traffic circulation, there wouldn't be any backups coming off of North Haggerty Road as a result. One of the biggest evaluation criteria for the special land use is the traffic impact. There are currently 4 points of access on the site. There are 2 curb cuts from North Haggerty Road and 2 curb cuts from Old Haggerty Road. The applicant is proposing to retain the 2 northernmost two-way curb cuts here that are on the right side of the page that are close to the intersections of Joy Road. The applicant's proposing to relocate the 2 southernmost one-way curb cuts southward and making them only accessible to the large diesel trucks. And then finally, the applicant proposes to add 2 new curb cuts between the proposed convenience store and the gasoline pump canopy that are illustrated here on the plan in the middle of the page. The western central curb cut at Old Haggerty Road, which is angled in the plan here, that's proposed for outbound traffic only. This drive is proposed to be angled southward to make the loading and unloading movements and parking easier. Both the Planning Services Division and Engineering Division have previously recommended an alternative design of a 90-degree curb cut, which has been recently submitted by the applicants for review and are in the packet this evening. This 90-degree alternative is still under review by staff, but it appears that it will allow for acceptable turning movements, but we'll defer to the Engineering Services Division and the Planning Commission regarding which option is chosen for this middle curb cut if it's approved. This is an existing curb cut, so if the proposed angle drive were to be tied in, this is an existing curb cut that it would be proposed to tie into. One of the evaluations by staff is that with an angled curb or an angled drive, there can be a fueling truck parked here and still be far enough away from the aisles so that fueling can take place and there's more room for the fuel loading truck. However, if the drive is angled at 90 degrees and it's straight out, when the fuel truck comes and it drops fuel, it would be partially blocking this two-way drive. One of the benefits of the proposal is that the applicants have put on the plans that the fuel unloading will be between midnight and 5 a.m. So if the drive is 90 degrees and if there's a fueling truck between midnight and 5 a.m., if it's blocking this drive, The impact would most likely be minimal because fueling traffic would be way down. But if there was somebody fueling, there are other options for getting around because there's drives both north and south. So we think that the 90-degree drive coming from Old Haggerty Road could work without having to have the angle drive there. But that's something that we'll defer to the Planning Commission and the Engineering Services Division on. With the driveway spacing, the zoning ordinance requires a minimum spacing of 105 feet on Old Haggerty Road and a driveway spacing of 230 feet on North Haggerty Road. And this is a standard that applies only to gas stations in order to keep a separation distance between more than one driveway. And the distance of the driveway is based on the speed of the adjacent road. The proposed driveway spacings along Old Haggerty Road are greater than the 105 feet required, but the proposed spacings along North Haggerty Road are 135 feet between the north and central driveway and 211 feet between the south and central driveway. This part of the zoning ordinance allows the Planning Commission to approve modifications from the spacing requirement for the driveways, provided that the modification is not greater than that which is necessary for safe and efficient access to the site. So these driveway spacings are something that we'll defer to the Planning Commission on once there's been a full evaluation of the site and all the elements of the access management. Also, the ordinance allows for one driveway per road frontage and allows the Planning Commission to approve one additional driveway if it's in the interest of good traffic operation. Therefore, with 3 driveways on each side, that's something that's outside of what the Planning Commission is able to approve, and therefore the applicant has applied for a variance application for 3 driveways on each side. The applicant has submitted a traffic impact study from Fleece and Vanderbrink, which was dated in November of 2022 and has been reviewed by Canton Township's transportation engineering consultant, Wade Trim. When the traffic study was performed, the plans proposed a drive-through coffee shop, which has since been removed from the plans. So a lot of the traffic that would be noted as generated from a coffee shop would no longer be in effect. However, since the traffic study has been done, the convenience store has gotten a little bit larger. So one of the things that we've requested is that Fleece and Vanderbrink include something on their letterhead that basically states some of the conclusions that they've emailed the staff about not having a significant impact on the traffic flow based on the previous traffic study. So we think there won't be any different conclusions in the traffic study, but it's something that we've asked for a formal letter from Fleece and Vanderbrink to that effect. The traffic impact study showed that the site can operate at an acceptable level of service D or better with some signal optimizations at the intersection of North Haggerty Road and Joy Road. And Wade Trim agrees with the results of the traffic study. For the parking, there are 38 parking spaces proposed, which includes parking by the gas pumps and spaces located elsewhere on the site. So the standards of the ordinance are met for parking. For loading and unloading, we did note some previous findings on the fuel truck loading, which would take place between midnight and 5 a.m. On the west side of the building, which is parallel to Old Haggerty Road, there's a loading space for the non-fuel trucks, so beverage trucks, food trucks, things like that. Their dedicated loading space would be next to the building to the west. For the architecture of the building, there's a minimum of 50% face brick on the building, which exceeds the requirement of the zoning ordinance. There's a parapet illustrated that screens the mechanical equipment. We have a couple of minor discrepancies between the color and the black and white versions of the elevation plans, but nothing too major, where we just need a little bit more information in terms of the consistency between the two. And then the black and white version is more recent and shows more detail to break up the long expanse of wall by framing the brick with block. So the color elevation would just have to be matching. With the landscaping, the landscape plan is designed to comply with the requirements of Article 5 of the zoning ordinance for the frontages along both Old Haggerty Road, North Haggerty, and Joy Road, to comply with the parking lot landscaping and the building frontage landscaping, except where noted. There are some corrections and additional details required on the landscape plan, including some revisions to species, some scaling corrections, some material calcs and bioretention details, as well as tree removal and replacement. Those are items that can be corrected pretty easily on revised plans with the site plan. For sidewalks, there's existing sidewalks along North Haggerty Road and Joy Road, and there's sidewalk proposed to connect North Haggerty Road with the convenience store building, as well as sidewalk connecting the diesel filling area to the convenience store. So access will be improved for pedestrian access. There's a lighting plan where it complies with the ordinance, except where we recommend some additional fixtures on the north side of the convenience store to better illuminate the walkway. For the signage, there's a few other details that are needed to comply with the ordinance, but the applicant has provided details to show the intent of complying with the zoning ordinance for signage, including removing the existing pole sign at the corner and replacing it with a conforming ground monument sign. And then finally, there's a dumpster enclosure shown on the south side of the building. It's designed to comply with Section 2.14 of the zoning ordinance, which include having the masonry wall match the building, have the gates and better access. There are a few revisions required for the detail, which includes increasing the wall and gate height to 8 feet, placing a limestone or similar cap on the top of the wall, and changing some of the masonry on the detail. So the intent is to comply with the ordinance. We just need some of the details to be updated, which can be done on the site plan. So the applicant has applied for both special land use and site plan review. This letter is written just for special land use review because there's a number of things related to the site plan that still have to be modified for more information, so that it's more of a clean letter that we prepare for site plan once a lot of those more minor things are corrected. But what we wanted to do was to bring forth a special land use application at this time, so that first we could have the special land use public hearing. Second, so that we could look at some of the discretionary requirements of the Planning Commission, including what the angle of that central west driveway will be, and as well as all the other site design elements before the applicant goes and makes any revisions to plans that are related more to the site plan. And finally, on page 7 of our review letter, we have findings for the special land use criteria, which are noted in section 27.03C of the zoning. We find that most of the criteria are met for special land use. There are some additional details and findings that would be required in order to fully comply with all the criteria of special land use review. So with that, our staff recommendation is that, in general, we recommend approval of a special land use for the redevelopment of the auto filling station at the site. However, there are elements of the plans where there are additional details required to determine compliance with the zoning ordinance, including the special land use standards of the ordinance. Our recommendation is to either approve with conditions based on the comments in the staff letter and any findings of the Planning Commission, or there's an option to defer action to another meeting of the Planning Commission pending receipt of any revised plans that address the information noted by staff in the review, as well as any items noted by the Planning Commission for modification. So we've written 2 model motions just in case either are chosen for the outcome of this by the Planning Commission. So that concludes our staff report, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Is the project sponsor here? All right. Could you come to the podium? And in the meantime, we have to open a public hearing, so do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Who said that?
Right.
Brian, okay. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Watkins and support by Commissioner Foster to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please tell us your name and,
Rocky Aldo,
okay.
8773 North Haggerty Road. at the gas station, a mobile gas station, Haggerty and Joy Road. We've been there
Okay.
27 years, and we're just trying to make it a little better.
Nice. Do you have anything to add to what Patrick said?
We're in agreement. We've met with Patrick several times, and, we're just trying to make it, we're doing this, we've been trying to do this for a while, and finally took on to separate the trucks from the cars. That was the biggest thing, the safety of the trucks. We've been there 27 years, and we watch this day to day, and, it makes it a lot better. That was the reason for the addition of the driver, not so much to add a driver. That's why the separation. And kind of like literally everything else that's there, it's been there for, the drivers have been there. We just had to adjust the one in the back just to meet along the building rather than where the trucks used to use. So, and for circulation and safety of the cars, and that's why we've kept the same requirements. But Patrick has been a lot of help, and we've been trying to clear up things, and hopefully we can get approved.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for allowing me.
We may have some questions for you, so don't go away. You could sit back down if you want, but
No.
thank you. All right, commission. Oh, yes. Do we have anybody from the audience who wants to speak? I have people here helping me. Thank you.
Every once in a while, we remember things.
I mean, it takes a village. Okay, you need a microphone.
I move to close the public hearing.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Ocon to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now it's time for the commission. Thank you. How about you, Commissioner Singh? Anything? No questions at this time. Okay. Commissioner Watkins?
Sure, real quick, just a couple things. First of all, I'm really glad that there are engineers and architects here because I was getting kind of lost in the sauce with what I'm looking at. I'm just an egghead real estate guy. But just a couple questions. I'm looking at the design here. So I did get a chance to dig into the traffic study. Looks like there weren't many accidents with trucks coming out of the diesel pumps heading either trying to turn left and head northbound on Haggerty or either turning right and headed southbound. Old Haggerty looks like it's kind of a unicorn. Tell me how it works. Is there ever like a queue of trucks to be able to get into the diesel pumps on Old Haggerty and then they head out like eastbound? Clearly there's one way in, one way out, but how does that typically work? I've driven past this site several times, haven't seen many diesel trucks refueling there, but just want to get an idea of like how it typically looks and what sort of activities on the corner. Thanks so much.
The truckers normally kind of follow the routine of the way the diesel are, and we've trained them that way. So they use Old Haggerty, and then they come in through. As you said, there's not really a lot of traffic based on the volume that we do in that area, since we're not on a main highway exit. It's just enough to keep the industrial area fueling. So there's never really trucks that need to queue. It's kind of like at peak hours, we'll have like full lanes. They fill up and they leave. At off hours, it's just like in and out. So we're just servicing the industrial area. Most of the time, if you drive by, you'll see at peak hours there are full lanes, maybe two small trucks queued. So there's never anything like encroaching into Old Haggerty or anything like that. And Old Haggerty is kind of like, it's not really used by anyone but the trucks that come through us or the trucks that get delivered to Metaltech. There's only two companies that have been using this road for, at one point we thought about vacating it, but it wasn't recommended and we don't want to deal with it. So we just kept it because there's really only activity that happens is literally the trucks that come to us or go to Metaltech. And Metaltech's, I think they only have certain things that go back there. The rest of them, they use their westerly entrances. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how it flows normally.
Yeah, totally. That's good. Thank you. And then follow up, Patrick, who has jurisdiction of Old Haggerty? Is that county jurisdiction as well?
Yeah, it's county.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so
Wayne
much.
County,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Commissioner Ocon?
I'm good, thank you. I think I have no problem with the applicant working with the staff on a couple little loose ends.
Thank you.
Regenberger?
Yes, thank you. I don't have any real concern, except I'm trying to understand, Patrick, when you talk about the angled driveway and the 90-degree driveway, according to the maps, it looks like both trucks, no matter which ones, they're kind of having to wave out. I don't know which one it is. Let's see, it's on 22 of mine. And then when you go down and you see the one that's 90, both tanker trucks are kind of going out a bit. So I wasn't quite sure how one was better than another. I know you like the 90-degree one.
Yeah, so, so these, there are several pages of the plans that show the turning template movements for not just the fueling truck, but for other loading vehicles, the garbage truck, and I think a fire truck as well. So that helps both the applicant and it helps us just to see what the impacts of those alignments are. So on this one here where they angle this middle drive onto, and this is top of the page, this is Old Haggerty Road. If this is the truck that's fueling, the truck is able to pull into the angle drive, and that angle allows for the truck almost exclusively to be located within that drive, so that if the fuel truck is unloading fuel, then there's still room between where these gas pumps are here at the bottom of the page and the drive to circulate around the truck, and it doesn't back up any access that circulates around the canopy. And then the applicants also provided an alternative for the 90-degree drive. So,
And that one, it seemed like the truck was flying out too. And perhaps flying out's not the right descriptor, but also kind of needing a wide berth.
It's a good description.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
yeah, so here, if it's a 90-degree drive, our recommendation for the 90-degree is that if it's 90 degrees, then it might be best to widen here to make it two-way so that depending on where vehicles may enter or exit, there's just another way of access there. And on Old Haggerty Road, like the applicant stated, it's not a heavily traveled road because it has two users and most of it is heavy truck traffic. But there could be times when some customer traffic goes there because it's easier to line up at Old Haggerty and Joy than somewhere else. But that's just having another option there. So in this case here, if they were to park the fuel truck and it's a 90-degree drive, the fuel truck encroaches into the parking drive aisle area, although I don't know if it's still the required 22 feet between where the truck would be and the edge of the parking space. And then it would encroach in some of the circulation area where more than likely a car could probably navigate around, or there would be another way to go on the opposite side of the canopy. It would just be more of an inconvenience than anything. And again, with the fuel truck being there between midnight and 5 a.m., it would be limited impact in terms of customers.
You would like the 90-degree one though, right?
Yeah, we like the 90-degree, just it's easier for the non-fueling trucks, non-loading trucks, and easier for two-way circulation. I see the merit in having the angled circulation in terms of being able to stack it on the site, but 90-degree is just something that we're more accustomed to seeing for two-way access and having different types of vehicles come in and out from that point.
But it would need to be opened up a little bit more, so there could be two-way traffic, that island.
Right, yeah, we would recommend that, and that can be done by, to the north here, this landscape island is wider than it needs to be. That could be removed a little bit. And then this landscape peninsula that comes out here south of it, that could be brought back a little bit to make this a two-way aisle. And the minimum width for a two-way access from a road is 30 feet.
I don't have any concerns, and I'm fine with option A.
The angled option?
Well, no, the,
Oh, this option, the 90-degree?
no, not that
No?
either.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, the motion,
Yes.
motion A.
Thank you for interpreting for me, Summer.
Yeah, I got it.
Gosh, if it wasn't for you. All right, very good, thank you. Commissioner Weber?
I don't generally have any problems with it. I know you did some improvements to the property a number of years ago, and that was an improvement. I appreciate that you're trying to improve this property again, because it'll make that intersection look much better. I wish you could do something with Metal Tech. Or at least get the county to do something to improve Haggerty and Joy Road, but, I've been by this, I go by this site all the time. I've never answered Commissioner Watkins' question about the truck traffic. I've never seen an issue with the truck stacking up or anything like that creating a problem. I also appreciate that you're doing something with an unusual shaped piece of property that, it can't always be worked out. So I don't love having a number of variances having to be received, but in this case, I think it's warranted. I personally don't have a problem with the angled driveway out that's the other way. I've been in too many gas stations where the fueling truck is there when the cars are there and creates a gridlock, basically. I don't know, can you guarantee that the fueling is always going to take place between 12 and 5 a.m.?
We normally do that right now, just even though it has nothing to do with it. We just do that just for our personal benefit of the, keeping them out of the way. We do that now. I mean,
I mean, if that's the
just
case.
for our own personal preference.
Right, if that's the case, I mean, I don't have a problem with what Patrick is saying about the 90-degree exit, but, if whatever engineering decides is the best option, I guess that's the way I would lean also, but I understand the merit of the angled driveway as well. So other than that, I have no objections to it.
Thank you.
Mr. Foster?
I don't have any questions, but I'm fine with option A also.
Now that we know what that is, we're all right.
No, it's our pick.
Commissioner Cruz?
So right now, the diesel pumps are two-way traffic, is that right?
Diesel pumps, if you look at them now, the existing diesel pumps look identical the same way as we're moving them,
Yeah.
except just they're sharing with the cars. So you could almost say we're just kind of taking it and moving it over to separate cars from trucks just for safety and all the,
The drives
confusion.
right there on
So-
Old
so-
Haggerty and Haggerty, are they two-way? Or is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just right now, cars and trucks are sharing them.
got you,
And it
yeah.
causes a lot of, congestion.
Right.
We're just trying to separate it for safety reasons. We've been trying to do that for years, but we just never had a chance to, do the project.
Here's my concern. You're making, now, it's two-way right now, so there's flexibility with the site for these trucks. Now you're making it one-way.
No, we're keeping it the same way. So there's a driveway right now from Old Haggerty, and then there's a driveway on North Haggerty. And then, the truckers just kind of know that come in from Old Haggerty and get out on
That's a
Haggerty.
one-way though, right?
It's not a one-way, it's a
It
two-way.
says do not enter one-way.
We're proposing that now, just so Dito Patrick and company decided that we should have that, just to make sure people don't dive in, or, just to make sure it's not out of control. But it's the same exact way now. We're just putting up a sign to say, hey, if you're a trucker, you need to come and follow the same rotation that everybody else does. Because if you got a guy, they're saying if there's somebody that's not from the area, most truckers are delivering to the same area because we're not off of a freeway exit. If we're on a freeway exit, you get 50, 60, 80, 100 trucks every day that don't even visit you. And they don't follow rules. In this area here, because of the area delivering to the same companies there, and they've kind of, because we're available every day, we've kind of trained them, and they've trained themselves. They'll just come in, throw Old Haggerty, and get out. So we've never had a
Okay,
problem.
So from the south, that's the majority of the industrial. You're saying those truckers
Get in
turn
from-
on Joy to Old Haggerty to loop around, they know to do that?
99% of the time. I mean, I watched one this morning that just, it was on Haggerty, and it could have easily, if we were a different place, would get in. he turn and get in. It's just the nature of a trucking business, you
Someone
know,
can actually come in
the opposite way.
the opposite way.
I mean, you know, if.
Is that right, Patrick? I mean, is that the way you envision this?
The way that, well, proposed, the way it's envisioned is that it's one way where they enter the diesel from Old Haggerty and they exit through North Haggerty.
Hey, you're saying something different, though.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
The way that the orientation is now, this canopy, it's a little bit more central in the site. So I think as Rocky is saying, there may be a truck that comes in off of Haggerty and wants to fill up, and that back end may be hanging close to the sidewalk. And then another issue is this drive that connects the diesel area to the gasoline. There's a lot of gasoline trips with passenger vehicles that will come into this curb cut and then go north while someone's trying to fill up with diesel.
Yep. No, that's a better design, for sure, separating
So
them.
the idea is that it's gonna act as the same way. We're just taking precaution measurement to say one way, just so a trucker doesn't dive in this way. Most of them don't really.
Okay.
It's just for legality purposes, you know.
The second thing, I agree with the 90-degree. The reason 90-degree is safer is when you turn, you're not at an angle trying to churn your neck. It's always safer to do 90 degrees. And that's probably why engineering likes the 90 degrees also. Is there a reason we have to keep it for trucks only? Why can't that be an access? It's more flexible for the site users.
Comes two-way, then it's gonna be for both.
It's gonna be for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
I
better
mean,
design.
yeah, I mean, most of the trucks don't really come further down to get into the site. If they're
Yeah.
using, you know, originally when, you know, we built the site that long ago, you couldn't put an entrance exit on Joy Road because
Yeah.
it was too close. So that one that gets in from, when you get in from Joy and jump in, that's where the cars come. That's technically the Joy Road's, you know, Angus, you know.
That design works well. Easy in and easy out.
Yeah,
But the moment you angle
That's what they
it,
use right there, yeah.
yeah, I
We can
mean,
do the same, I mean.
You're even angled the wrong way. I mean, the trucker has to do, they're not coming from the south.
Well, we were just
right?
doing it for like the purpose of fuel trucks and delivery trucks and
They'd have
things
to
like
back
that.
in.
You know, that's the reason why we were doing
Yeah.
that. Not so much for the use of the customers, because they don't really come, like I said, come that way. They just use that first one, but, you know, we can look at what engineer suggests, but.
So, given that, I mean, the fueling trucks, you shouldn't design for the fueling truck that comes at 12 a.m. You should design for the better circulation. So I agree with the 90-degree, you know, two ways. It's a better design. The third thing is, I think Fleece and Vandenbrink should update their traffic study. Originally, you had a coffee shop drive-through.
We proposed it and.
That's significantly different from this.
Well, it's the same exact building size.
Sure.
We didn't change the building size. The only thing we were doing is we were allocating about that easterly side of the building for like a drive-through.
I'm with you. It's less impact. and
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That's what Patrick suggested, that it was too
Patrick,
much activity.
the signals will likely, it sounds like the signal optimization is going to happen as a result of this. So that study should reflect what's proposed, not what was proposed and it's not happening. So I think it's important for Fleece and Vandenbrink to update the study, and Wade Trim and the engineering department review and approve it. So,
How do we know that the signal optimization will happen? Just because it's recommended doesn't mean that Wayne County's gonna do it, right?
Yeah, we would have to work with our engineering division to see how either the township or the applicant can go about getting Wayne County to optimize the signal and what the standards and procedures would be for them doing it, because it wouldn't necessarily be a guarantee. It's just a matter of us knowing what the procedures are to show them the traffic data, and then would they optimize the signal based on that traffic study? So that's something we'll ask engineering.
have you submitted to Wayne County yet, this plan?
We haven't heard, we heard back, did we hear back We didn't hear back from traffic, right? We heard back from, yeah, not yet. They were saying that they would recommend it. When I spoke with them, when I dropped off the plans to the two engineers were there, and they thought that the way we have it designed looks pretty good in existing driveway and all that, but they had to review it based on, on reviewing it.
So what's going to happen, when Wayne County reviews it, they'll need a traffic study in order to determine if signal optimization is needed. So that's why it's important
We'll
to get an
update it for
updated
them, yeah.
traffic study as part of the plan. And that can happen with site plan approval. This isn't site plan approval, right? This is special land use?
That's correct.
The other concern, it's a minor concern, there's a lot of variances here, but some of them are self-imposed, like your proposed building is encroaching into a setback for a variance?
Yeah, so the front yard setback requirement for the building is 85 feet. And that's 85 feet from Old Haggerty Road, from North Haggerty Road, and from Joy Road. So the lot has 3 front yards, both on the west and east sides and the north side. So having sometimes a corner lot can have a practical difficulty, and sometimes the shape or narrowness of a lot can create a practical difficulty. In this case, the lot width is a little over 150 feet. So with an 85-foot setback from Old Haggerty Road and North Haggerty Road, there's a negative building envelope there. So there's really no place that a building could be placed on the site without a variance. So that'll be one of the evaluation criteria for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And then the major question will be, I don't think not necessarily whether there's a practical difficulty, because I think overlapping setbacks provide one. The major question for them will be the size of the building and the size of the variances that are requested, and whether they meet the standards for the review of the variances that they're asking for. Because it is possible that the ZBA, they may have a condition or an action that doesn't provide 100% of what the applicant's asking for, that would cause a plan change.
So it goes to ZBA before it goes to planning commission for site plan, or after?
It can go either way. There's not really a requirement of which comes first. What we're looking at ahead, looking at the calendar, is the next available planning commission meeting is on August 7th. And there's a chance that we may be back to the planning commission next month on August 7th with the site plan application. It'll look a lot like this with a few things corrected, so our letter will be cleaner. The Zoning Board of Appeals meeting date is on August 10th, which is 3 days later. And the applicants have already applied for the variances. So what we're looking at in August is potentially having the Planning Commission review of the site plan on the 7th, ZBA review of the variances on the 10th. In some cases, the Planning Commission may recommend approval subject to variances, so that if variances are granted, the application goes forward. If variances are not granted, then it's remanded back to the Planning Commission for further review.
No, I think it's a good plan, just a little more tweaks, and it can be better, you know. That's all I got.
Janowski? No comment? Okay, very good. Well, I have to agree, I think that this is a good use of this, a good improvement to your property. I think that since I'm the architect here, I'll just mention, I think the building looks nice
Thank
for a
you.
convenience store. I think that, I appreciate that you've got the masonry covered, so to speak. And I agree with the comments about the 90-degree driveway, I think that it does make more sense, but anybody want to make a motion? I guess we're going with motion A. Well, I mean, he's here. You could try. Come on.
No, I don't want to steal. I don't want to steal his thunder. I move to approve the special land use for the redevelopment of the automobile filling station at 8773 North Haggerty Road, parcel 002-990002-707, subject to the applicant obtaining the necessary variances noted, and including all the information noted by staff on revised plans prior to township board review of the special land use application.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Singh. Any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Okan, could you call the vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Cruz? Yes. Commissioner Eggenberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Janowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Okan, yes. Commissioner Singh?
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Zuber?
Yes. All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
Traffic study done before,
We'll get it updated.
before you get to the site plan.
Yeah, we'll get on the phone with her. She's pretty good. She'll get it done right away. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Good luck.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
And then a couple of closing comments on this. What we're looking at ahead is, we think the next available board meeting, and this is the earliest possible one, would be August 22nd, until this would be ready for the board to look at once any revisions are made. So it is possible by that time that the variances may have been acted upon, the site plan may be acted upon by the planning commission. So hopefully by the time the special land use goes to the board, if the variances and site plan are completed, it can go to the board in one clean package.
Thank you. All right. Good luck, gentlemen. All right, our next item is old business. It is item number 058-ADS-7394. This is for Chase Bank, considering site plan on parcel number 0589900030009. And that is also known as 45345 Ford Road. The property is located on the south side of Ford Road between Canton Center Road and Sheldon Road. Proposed use is in addition to the existing structure and other site modifications. We are looking at some revisions to the plans that were approved by the Planning Commission on August 8th, 2022. Patrick, could you tell us more?
Sure, thank you. At the August 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission approved a site plan amendment for the Chase Bank on the south side of Ford Road, east of Canton Center. So it's up here on the screen here, and there's the Huntington Bank is to the west, Meyer Gas Station's to the east, and to the south is Culver's and Meyer. And the approved site plan amendment back in August included expanding the building on the south side by about 590 square feet, modifying the building elevations, adding some parking, expanding the landscaping, and relocating the dumpster. Currently, the applicant is proposing to modify those plans partially based on some of the high bid estimates that came in for construction based on the previously approved plans. So some of the significant modifications from the plans approved by the Planning Commission last August are expanding the building by 850 square feet instead of 590 square feet. So a couple hundred square feet more building area. The second is slightly widening the northern driveway from 22 feet to 24 feet to allow a little bit better turning radius movement for vehicles. And then the third item is probably the most significant, and that is scaling back the architectural improvements, including the improvements to the canopy. The building is still proposed to have at least 50% brick, but it will include more of the fiber cement or the Nishiha paneling, especially in the upper areas of the facade. Also, the previously approved canopy changes had wrapping the columns and putting aluminum composite material on the canopy. The previous canopy that was approved by the Planning Commission on August 8th, 2022, showed the columns of the drive-through teller wrapped in the Nishiha material. And the upper areas where there's currently EFS was proposed to have aluminum composite material. The plans in front of you this evening for the packet, they show the columns of the canopy not being wrapped and maintaining the EFS on the upper areas. Since our report of last week in the packet being published, the applicants have emailed us some revised elevations, and The changes to these elevations, the applicant has made where they are now showing the columns being wrapped in the Nishiha material, and they're showing the upper canopy still being EIFS, but being painted to be the same color as the brick so that the coloring matches. And those were based on some of the staff recommendations in our letter that we sent out last week. For the other items in the staff letter, they're mostly the same as what they were last August in terms of the traffic circulation, setback schedule regulations, parking, landscaping, things of that nature. So our recommendation for the site plan amendment is to recommend approval of the site plan amendment at the Chase Bank, including approval of the dimensions of the building foundation landscape areas and the parking lot island landscape areas shown on the plan, subject to the following 4 conditions. First, wrapping the canopy columns in Nishiha or brick and modifying the canopy by painting it a consistent color with the building or wrapping it in paneling consistent with the building materials. And as I stated, the applicants had addressed that first recommended condition. The second recommended condition is showing the mounting light fixtures on the plans at a height not exceeding the peak height of the building screening of 17 feet 8 inches. Third, correcting any landscape discrepancies identified by staff. And fourth, including bollard details on the dumpster enclosure plans. So that concludes our recommendation. The only item I want to go back to is that the building foundation landscape is required by ordinance to be 10 feet deep, and the parking lot island landscape areas are required to be 12 feet wide and 150 square feet. And in some of the areas of the site with the landscaping, the islands are less than 12 feet in width. But some of the islands range from 6 feet wide to 11 feet wide, so they're still viable areas. They're just retrofitting a site by adding more landscaping than what exists there now, so it is an improvement, but in retrofitting a site and trying to make it more compliant, they're not able to make it fully compliant and still get all the site elements there. So we think the landscaping is still an improvement, and we recommend that the modifications be approved in accordance with section 5.07 of the zoning ordinance. So that concludes our staff report, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. So the project sponsor here, all right, come on up to the podium.
Good evening. My name is David Stengel. I'm with the Architects Partnership. I'm the architect project manager. Address is 200 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago. I'm the project architect on behalf of Chase Bank.
Do you have anything to add to what Patrick said?
No, he summed it up pretty well.
Okay, very good. All right. This is not a public hearing, so we'll just go right to the commission. Commissioner Janowski, would you like to make any comments? Yeah. No comments. All right. Commissioner Cruz.
So why can't the foundation plantings be met with this ordinance? What's the issue?
We're fitting 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag, basically. So in order to increase that on the south side, we would have to, it would push the parking stalls beyond the property line.
It's an existing condition.
It's improved upon existing condition.
And then the islands are existing, that's a pre-existing condition, and you're not meeting the width, is that why?
Some of the islands are new, but it's weighing the gaining of parking stalls versus the gaining of islands and trying to mesh the two. We are gaining in parking stalls, but as Patrick said, the islands, they do fall short, but they are still adequate to get the plantings required.
Is the parking requirement fully met?
Yeah, let me just bring that up here where I can find it.
I ask is, if you're over parked, why not make the islands bigger, you know?
We're not overparked. By code, it's required to be 66. Existing is 38, proposed is 43. The lot just isn't big enough to get 66.
Sure.
So we're still improving upon existing by a delta of 5.
So by ordinance, what's the magic number by ordinance?
By ordinance would be 66.
Yeah, the ordinance, it's like a lot of ordinances, it has a really old formula for calculating parking for banks, and those parking standards, they predate drive-through banks and mobile banking. So there's a lot more parking spaces required than are actually needed. So the applicant is proposing to increase the number from, currently there's 38, they want to increase it to 43. And
The one thing I would encourage, since you're getting a break on the landscape, we should try to put that landscape somewhere else and not just waive the requirement. Maybe along Ford Road, you know, wherever there's space.
yeah, and that's a good point. They are proposing the material itself in terms of the trees and shrubs. And they're asking for relief on the depth, but I think they are planning to still put the required trees elsewhere on the site so that the material, the number of trees and shrubs are there, they're just not all located within
Okay.
that foundation.
That's perfect.
Echo that. Yes, we're adding the trees to meet the ordinance. Along Ford Road, we are increasing that landscaped area to the maximum that we can.
Good. That's all I got.
Foster?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Weber?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
Well, luckily Dawn was able to bring up the current one while I look at the old one.
Yeah.
To be able to see the difference in the design with the change in amount of bricks. And Dawn's going to be able to say this in a much better way than I am. But, Patrick, can you bring up the current design where the...
The elevation? Yeah.
The proposed design?
Yeah, and the one that we approved last year had more of a square top. Triangle top, but I'm sure there's some.
The gable,
architect-
the
There we
gable.
go.
Yeah, so this is what's
Yeah,
proposed.
and the one that we approved, I really like the square top. Is there some reason you got rid of that?
I bet you do too, just knowing you're an architect.
It, like Patrick mentioned, it came down to being overpriced. GCs started to price it, and it was above budget significantly. And if further discussion about budget is necessary, there's some Chase representatives here.
Sir, if you could talk into the mic because we have people, this is being recorded, so thank you. And tell us your name, please.
I'm Evan Wise. I'm a real estate project manager with Chase.
Okay.
I was involved in, the budgeting exercise as well as kind of shepherding design and getting contractor quotes. So, yeah, the reason why we're kind of scaling back, trying to maximize what we can do with the money, the funding allocated, still making significant improvements to the exterior. So we're following the existing profile and upgrading, the materials with the Nichiha. So initially, we were going to do this larger parapet. That was going to require us to do some additional structural modifications, footings, foundations out front, as well as tying back the structure to the roof. So there was a lot more involved there, and we had to go through significant VE just to get us back within a realm of that Chase would continue to move forward. So, yep. Any other questions?
All right. Commissioner Okan.
I am good, thank you.
Are you really? All right, Commissioner Watkins.
I am good. I just had one quick question. I think you, at the end of your comments, I think you mentioned just like you guys went and VE'd everything and tried to figure out how to make this work. So, and again, I'm just an educated real estate guy. So going from the flat or from the rectangle shape in the front to the other design gave you cost savings to what degree? I mean, I'm just curious.
I don't have those, I wouldn't say I had that itemized out because it was all kind of rolled into a long list. Options we consider on the interior as well, we scale back on some of the floor plan elements, some of the design standards that we choose to use as good prototypes. I don't know, I mean, I can throw out the number, but I don't know. I agree.
No worries.
So it's existing profile now, where we would be tearing all that down, adding construction steel up, living foundations. Yes.
No, yeah, no, I just, I
Yeah, the
agree with.
mic is pretty far from you.
Sorry
so
about that.
It's a good mic, but you have to be closer. Thank you. I think we heard you, but
Yeah, and that's fine. I just, again, it was it's a significant change, and it's to be considered. But
Had a fairly tall task to reduce the budget quite a bit, so we kind of took the approach and just tried to scale back where we could and still make a significant impact, so.
fair enough. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Singh? No questions. All right. Yeah, I'll pick up, like I said earlier, I'm an architect as well, so I'll just pick up on the feedback on the elevations. I don't fully understand why you would need to change structurally to necessarily square that up. Is it coming out farther in the old scheme? That was going to be, so even could you do something flat that just would square that up, that would make it look a little more like this without actually adding to the building? Because I really like
We would still
this.
need to do some structural
Yeah,
modifications.
yeah, including footings and everything?
Coming further out, for sure.
But that's what I'm saying, if you don't, if it's just flat and it's not stepping out. Yeah,
Not necessarily, well,
Is it higher?
it would be higher, so I'd
Wind
have
loads
to,
and-
we would have to engage our structural engineer.
of course, yeah. I'm just curious, because I really like this elevation, and I think that, you know, the other one is just, if I hadn't seen this, I'd probably be like, oh, yeah, that's nice, but we saw this, and that's, I think is, you know, is a much nicer, more modern-looking building, and, you know, I get value engineering, I get it, we do it all the time, but it, you know, it's always sad to see somebody come back and go, oh, we got to do this, so.
For the building proper, the Nichiha, and I brought samples if you need to see it, the Nichiha is a big upgrade from the Ephes.
Oh, Nichiha is nice, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's samples, you got to pass them out.
Sounds Japanese or something. Oh, wow. These look cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice product, so,
Improvement, for sure.
yeah, I guess, I'm going to miss this one. All right, you want to make a motion?
I don't know, am I allowed? Because, you know,
I mean,
Alan just doesn't always let me.
can you be dramatic?
You guys.
All right, I will make the motion. I move to approve the site plan amendment application for the financial institution use on parcel number 058-99-003-009 at 45345 Ford Road, including approval of 43 parking spaces pursuant to Section 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance, and approval of the dimensions of the building foundation landscape areas and parking lot island landscape areas shown on the plans pursuant to Section 5.07 of the zoning ordinance, subject to the following conditions. 1, wrapping the canopy columns in Nishiha, or brick, or modifying the canopy by painting it a consistent color with the building or wrapping it with paneling consistent with the building materials. Number 2, showing the mounting light fixtures on the plans at a height not exceeding the peak height of the building screening of 17 feet 8 inches. 3, correcting any landscape discrepancies identified by staff. And 4, including bollards, details on the dumpster enclosure plans.
I should have mentioned that. No, just kidding. All right, who supported that, Brian? Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Eggenberger and support by Commissioner Watkins. Any further discussion? No? All right. Commissioner Okon, could you call the vote, please?
Sure. Commissioner Cruz,
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Janowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Okan, yes. Commissioner Singh,
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Madam Chair Zuber.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. All right.
Take your time.
So next steps, Patrick?
Next steps will be for the applicants to make some of those changes in accordance with the conditions and the items noted in our letter. And once those are done, the planning process will be complete and they can proceed to engineering and building for further permitting.
Great. Best of luck. Thank you. And we have an item of new business. It is item number 041-SPX-7856, Canton Fire Station Number 2 Park. We're considering a site plan for parcel number 041-99-0008-701 at 41500 Warren Road. Property is located on the north side of Warren Road between Lilly and Haggerty Roads. The proposed use is a newly constructed park. Patrick, please tell us more.
Okay, thank you. Currently, there's Canton Fire Station Number 2 is on the north side of Warren Road between Haggerty Road and Lilly Road. And the site's a little more than 4.5 acres. And recently, Fire Station 2 is reconstructed, and its site plan was approved in 2019 for the reconstruction, and that's shown on the aerial photo here. And as you can see in the southeast part of the site is the fire station, the circulation, and the parking. And the southwest or far west part of the site, it's mostly lawn area, and to the north is a creek, and there's quite a bit of floodplain in the area. So it's very limited in terms of what you're able to do with the site. And as you get closer to the road, it becomes out of the floodplain area. And so with a large available area, with limited options in terms of any kind of development, and the township looking at recreation amenities township-wide, specifically in generally the northeast part of the township has a proposal to put in a passive park in the southwest quadrant of this site. And the park will consist of a sidewalk and boardwalk, a picnic table, bench, some interpretive signage, and receptacles for garbage and recycling. So it'll be a low-intensity amenity for the area. There aren't amenities that are going to generate a lot of traffic, no playgrounds, no major structures, buildings, anything like that. So any of the traffic that's generated by the park will most likely be handled by the existing parking. The existing parking lot, it's probably oversupplied in parking, but sometimes for public buildings, it's good to have a little bit more for events and training and things like that. But most of the time, it's generally a third or less of the parking spots that are taken up. So there's plenty of parking on the site that can handle any additional demand as a result of the park. And it's a relatively small park in terms of land area and amenities. The reason this is before the Planning Commission is that the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, state law requires that whenever there's a new park or new public amenities like this, that the Planning Commission reviews the plans. So this is before the Planning Commission for both a new park and somewhat of a site plan amendment for the previously approved site plan for Fire Station Number 2. There are no changes to the site for access management. So the existing drive that is on the west side of the fire station here, that will continue to be used by the public for access. So there's no changes to the access management, no changes to existing sidewalks, which are existing along the frontage of Warren Road. There's no existing lighting proposed. The park will not be open during evening hours, and there's existing lighting at the fire station site, which includes 3 light poles along the west side of the parking lot. There's no additional garbage removal requirements other than the additional receptacles for garbage and recycling. And there's an existing dumpster on the site, so if garbage needs to be put into a dumpster, that facility is already there without the additional need for construction. And then the site will be landscaped further. There's an existing landscape plan for Fire Station Number 2, which complied with the zoning ordinance when it was approved. There are some modifications where 1 tree is removed, but the plan proposes 1 new deciduous tree, 2 new evergreens, and several shrubs and pollinator plants for the site. So the landscaping will be enhanced and will meet the standards of the ordinance and the previously approved plan. Finally, there's a wetland area on the north side of the site. The zoning ordinance doesn't permit any structures or earth movement within 25 feet of a wetland. There are no structures proposed within the 25-foot wetland boundary, although there appears to be a slight grading encroachment within the 25-foot wetland. And the purpose of that grading encroachment is to replace the existing lawn, turf grass, with a bioswale and rain garden seed mix that will be located in that floodplain area. The section of the zoning ordinance that applies to wetland setbacks doesn't apply to normal lawn care, landscaping, and maintenance. So replacing turf grass with a bioswale and rain garden seed mix would be considered a normal landscape standard. And the area of disturbance will be surrounded by silt fence during construction. So the impact will be minimal on that setback. And once the improvement is made in terms of the additional seeding, it'll be a better result for the wetland and the floodplain area with the bioswale and rain garden mix as opposed to the current turf grass. Staff's recommendation is approval of the site plan for Canton Fire Station Number 2 Park at the location, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. And the project sponsor is here. Hello.
Evening. I'm Jeanette Aiello. I'm the Project and Operations Supervisor for Leisure Services and Community Development. We're grateful to be here with the Commission, and it's not very often that we bring a park before you all. So we're in a good position right now as a township. We're really committed to putting parks in a variety of spaces. We've developed a lot in the 90s and early 2000s, and then we kind of just kept everything status quo. So you'll probably see a few more parks coming before you in the next 6 to 12 months. And we're excited about that because it's bringing space to everyone. And we know that Warren Road is busy. We know that's a concern for a lot of people. We are working with engineering on filling the sidewalk gaps and identifying ways that we could make the area safer. But as Patrick indicated, there is ample parking there. There is an electric vehicle charging station going there, so that'll give individuals that are using that station an opportunity to get out of their vehicle, relax a little bit. It's not a huge space, but it can be a lot more beautiful with some of these amenities that go in. So adding the different shrubs and seed mixes through there will make it a lot more enjoyable, not only for the people that are visiting, but for the creatures and the other inhabitants of the space, especially with the creek being right there. We were out there earlier this year. It's obviously very dry, so the creek was very low, but often this area is very wet. When the fire station used to be in that area, it was always very damp because it's a very low area. So the boardwalk will be above the floodplain, the 100-year floodplain, and it will have, start with concrete and then go into the elevated boardwalk with the railing and then the seating area, which will be half with a back and then the other half which will be open. And then there's also a picnicking area in the bottom corner, right-hand corner of the screen as well. There'll be a picnicking area and a bike rack and waste and recycling area.
I assume the fire department has approved their access to the site.
Yes, so they're, originally when we wanted to develop the space, it was going to be a much more active park. We really wanted to put a playground over in that corner, and their biggest concern was the amount of activity. They didn't want children potentially running out in front of the fire trucks or things like that. It's not to say kids can't visit it, but we see this more based on the different neighbors and individuals in that area that this will be more of either you'll drive there, you'll want to walk on the boardwalk, or you might just go right down to the creek on your own. It's up to you kind of how you want to use the space, but it wasn't suitable for having a playground there, and that was their biggest concern.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't know, but hang out, we might have some.
Oh, I was just asking Nancy if she would go on a picnic with me.
Smart Alec. All right.
Exactly.
Anybody from the commission have some questions?
Well, I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
I was surprised the picnic table was so close to the parking lot. Is that because if you've got a lot of stuff to carry, it's easier?
It was just to create close proximity to the accessible parking areas. And then to have a bench partway through the loop. Originally, the design had a couple different bench locations, and then when we actually went out there and walked it, we're like, it's not that big.
That's what I was thinking, is
you
it's not that far
might
away.
do quite a few laps to get your mile in, but it is nice if you're, for an individual that doesn't want to go in a hidden area, that wants that safety of being able to be seen, plus with being next to the fire station. But yeah, the picnic area is more getting close to that parking area that's accessible.
And then the interpretive signs?
Yep, so our consultant MCSA group identified a really great wildlife interpretive sign company that's going to develop a sign that talks about wetlands and the purpose of bioswales and things like that to kind of educate the people that are visiting on why, and it will have the flowers that are on the site on the sign. So it won't have every single one, but it'll have a lot of them and why those were selected for that given area.
Great, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you're getting you're installing an EV charging station. Is that going to be installed at the same time as the park is done?
It'll either be done at the same time or just prior to, but we know that it'll be a good combo package with having that out there and then just promoting, electric vehicle spots that are in the public areas. That's kind of our goal as far as as we develop new parks, making sure that we're keeping those things mindful as we're adding them.
I have a question, and it's nice to see that we are using that existing space to make it more beautiful. Do we have any other parks in the area of that size, which we have developed before?
Our smallest, I don't know if we have any that small, but Barchester's a little bit smaller. Griffin's smaller if you look at the part that's actually used and not the whole ITC corridor area. But it's one of our smallest, besides just neighborhood parks that are put in by the subdivisions.
That part of the town definitely can use a nice park. Is there any other place also where we can actually put something better with playgrounds and stuff?
So that's a wonderful question. So one of our tasks right now, community development is a branch of Leisure Services that just got installed within the last year with board approval. And the whole goal was to identify ways to increase pocket parks throughout the whole community. When we went through the last master planning process for Leisure Services, the big goal was to put a park within a 10-minute walk of every neighborhood. And so you could go out your door and get there. And so between working with engineering on filling sidewalk gaps and adding trails, and we're currently working on developing a pocket park plan so that we can make sure that we're utilizing the land the township owns that's not developed at the moment, and then also identifying other suitable properties in different segments of the community so that we can make sure that we put different parks in different areas. And we're not just going to put the same cookie cutter in each spot. It'll be suitable to the location, the environment that's there, and the needs of the individuals in the surrounding community of that spot. So we're trying to look at all those different aspects and develop a pocket park plan that we'll be able to use that as our strategy kind of moving forward to make sure everybody's getting equal access.
Pocket Park on Coppernick last year.
Yep, so within the last 1 to 2 years, we added Coppernick over there. That's a very small pocket park that is specific to a playground. So for the individuals that already had homes in that area, as well as the new multifamily housing unit that's there, Coppernick's been a really good asset to that space. So we're looking at what works for what neighborhoods are right in those areas, and we know that pocket parks are easier way to add a lot of impact, and we can do it a lot more affordably than just when we, have these larger parks. We love having Heritage Park, and very soon we'll have the ZB West Nature area up at Ford and Ridge that we'll bring before you for a site plan. Those are larger spaces, but we'll also have a lot of pocket parks in different areas that we're hoping to bring in.
Nice project, thank you.
I just want to say that I'm happy to see this project moving forward. I feel like we've been talking about it forever, so I'm happy to see it moving forward. And I just want to thank Leisure Services for being so thoughtful and like how we can use space that the township owns and has available, and whether it's an active park or a passive park, really make a place for a community to kind of rest and, and restore. And I love the fact that there's going to be an EV charging station there, so people can charge their car, maybe sit on the park bench and read a book or something like that, but, just have a place just to be.
One quick question. Patrick, and you might be able to answer this, just wanted a question about the real estate there, the land parcel that was to the west. Was it I'm assuming that was acquired at the time of the rehab of the fire station, or did it happen subsequent to the rehab, or?
Are we looking at the piece that the park is proposed on, or the site to the east or the west of that?
To the west of I'll call it the rehab fire station now, so it's going to be the very next parcel, and it looks like that's where the park will be, for sure.
That's where the old fire station was located.
Fire station was on the other side.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we had
So we
originally.
flipped it.
It's a totally new building.
Got it, okay. Flipped it.
To build Fire Station number 2, they purchased the
You guys bought the
property that the
parcel.
new
Got
station
it.
is on and
Thank you.
maintained the old station during the build of the new station, and then tore it down once the new station was built, so that there was still fire services out in that part of the community during that time.
Got it. Was that acquisition post-2019? It's like 2019, 2020, or did the township own it after that time?
The site plan for this station here, this is a relatively new aerial photo, that was approved in 2019. And all of these parcels were part of that site plan, where it showed the demo of the old station, the building of the new station, and then basically this area here, it was just left as general landscaping until something else came up.
Got it. I have to get down more and a lot more, looks like. Thank you.
Well, they repaved it, so it's nice.
We rebuilt it because of the wetlands, and it didn't make sense to rehab what was already there. It was cheaper to rebuild.
Yep, got to get down there. Thank you.
Adjacent to the west of that, who owns that property? Is that privately owned? Canton doesn't own that?
No, that's privately owned at this time.
What is that zone? Residential?
I think it was zoned light industrial. Let me pull up the zoning map. Well, actually, I think it might be master planned light industrial. I think it might be zoned residential.
What can they really build in there, though, with the creek?
Well,
Yeah, it's zoned residential. It's an I think
well,
it's
there's
R5.
houses, further towards,
The condos are to the west, yes.
it'd be nice to have a walk continuing to connect it to, what is this, Lily? No, I mean to the west.
Yeah, that's Lily. Yeah.
Because there's sidewalk all there, and then now there's this gap. Not
So
you
that-
guys, but whoever that developer is, when they come in, it'd be nice to put that walk, then you'll have a full connection,
Yeah, and that'd be a nice ask of Wayne County to actually widen
Oh,
more
they
road
won't.
there and put a sidewalk in. Just a suggestion.
They won't
Because
do
they
that.
listen to us.
Nice. Yeah, this parcel here to the west, it's a little challenging because it has the
Oh.
creek that runs right through it. And so there's quite a bit of floodplain in that area. Not a lot of uplands there.
Yeah, when we were looking at the sidewalk gap, which is on the gap plan for engineering, it would have to be a boardwalk through that area just because of the wetlands and the creek being right there. But it is on their radar of tackling that one, whether that be through grant funding or just through the gap program if the owner doesn't take care of it themselves.
Great plan.
Love the idea.
I'm always for more parks. So the name is Fire Station Number 2 Park.
I don't know that it's, I don't think it's going to be anything other than that.
Okay.
We didn't really feel comfortable naming it after the creek, just based on the history of that, but.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
But there's not necessarily going to be signage for the park. It'll just be more of like in our marketing and things like that. The only signage that's proposed at the park right now is the interpretive signage right there, just because it's such a small thing and people in the area will use it, but it probably won't be a sought-out destination. But our consultant, when it was designed, chose a prefabricated boardwalk that could be done in a timely fashion. That way, it's not something that's continued to be drawn out, because we know that we want to have an impact and a quick turnaround in this process if we can. And the goal would be that all the plantings and everything go in the fall so that they sprout in the spring. So most pollinator mixes get planted in the cold times, and then they sprout in the spring. You'll start seeing more and more pollinator gardens popping up in our parks, and we have one out here next to the library that's been put in, and one at the ZBUS Nature area, and they've been doing really well, even though it's been kind of a drought year so far. It's been very successful. But we know that it's a public-facing area, so it'll still have regular lawn grass at the front of the park, and then go into the more pollinator mixes further in.
So you anticipate doing this fall?
That would be our goal. We know that there's a lot of projects that are out there, you know, on the forefront. This is one that we can be impactful very quickly, as long as the contractors are available once it goes out for bid.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the site plan for Fire Station Number 2 Park, located at 41500 Warren Road, on tax parcel numbers 041-99-0003-000 and 041-99-0006-000 and 041-99-0008-701.
Wow, that was really impressive.
I'm playing the lottery when I leave here.
All zeros?
So we have a motion by Commissioner Okon and support, was that Commissioner Singh? Okay, Commissioner Singh, and any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Okon, could you call the vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Eggenberger.
Yes.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Janowski. Commissioner Okon, yes. Commissioner Singh.
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
And Chairwoman Zuber.
Yes. Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. We look forward to bringing more to you in the future.
Yeah, we look forward to it too. Thanks. All right. So the next item on our agenda is the staff for miscellaneous, the staff reports, commission, and liaison comments. Erin, you have had an exciting month and you have some fun updates to share with us.
Yes, I do. I'm very excited. Thank you. It's nice to see you all again. So included in the packet tonight was the memo giving you an update, and we've had a lot going on this month. So with general update, we've had several stakeholder discussions with members of the public. So some of these were based on locations in the community. We'd already had ones related to Cherry Hill Village, Northwest Canton. We've had ones related to demographic groups. So we've met with middle school and high school students and senior residents, community organizations such as the DDA and the Chamber, and professional representatives from realtors and developers, trying to get their feedback and what they hear from members of the community. And then this month we started talking about having stakeholder discussions based on relative topics. So a number of people that contacted us or were interested in the master plan project really wanted to have more involvement. And so we were having these stakeholder discussions, and their interest was really topic-based. So we reached out to them, and we have 7 of them that we're doing. So housing and neighborhoods, transportation and corridor infill and redesign, land use and development, urban design, and more. So we've had the ones related to housing and neighborhoods, transportation and corridors last week. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. This afternoon, we spoke with residents related to commercial areas and businesses. Later this week, we have the one related to land use and development, and then next week, we finish it where we talk to people about natural features, preservation, and urban design. And these have all been very, really great, interesting conversations with members of the public and finding out what they are passionate about in the community, what they want to see, what they want to experience in the community to come. So as these discussions progress, we'll provide the Planning Commission with a detailed summary of what has transpired and what they've said. But overall, it's been very positive. Even talking about transportation and, everyone loves the traffic so much. Even something like that, we've managed to have really good conversations. And yes, there's a lot of weaknesses in certain areas, but trying to find the strengths or trying to figure out ways to cultivate opportunities to turn any weaknesses into strengths. So we've really been working through a SWOT analysis approach, trying to harness the conversations and not look at it so much as a what doesn't work, but what does work that we could make better, what could be improved. Because not everything's bad, right? Not all traffic is bad.
I think most people who come here would beg to differ.
Well, traffic, you get to see other things in the area, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. Okay, we'll go there another time. So
I would say that the businesses on Ford Road don't necessarily mind the traffic.
Until they're
blue
driving.
sky things too. So as always, as I mentioned, we're having a couple more of these stakeholder discussions. All of these will be provided to you at a later date. All the updates are provided in the monthly newsletter, and we're keeping our website up to date with things as they come along. The Master Plan Advisory Board is meeting this week, and we're going to be discussing, what are we discussing this month? Transportation and intersection nodes. Last month, we talked about commercial corridors and the infill design, so we're kind of keeping with that theme. And then next month, we'll start to pivot and talk about sustainability and housing. So we've had a lot going on this month. We're really excited. As you know, we've also finished talking about Cherry Hill Village recently. And so the consultants at McKenna and the planning staff have put together some draft goals and objectives based on the number of stakeholder discussions we had, based on some of the feedback we had received from the Master Plan Advisory Board. And those goals and objectives draft language has been provided to you in your packet. So be happy to discuss with you this evening, and if you have any thoughts or comments on those, this is kind of where we start to begin to draft some text. And so once we kind of have this a little bit narrowed down, then we'll start bringing some text to you. So if there's anyone who would like to discuss these goals and objectives this month, that would be great. If there's anything you would like to think about a little bit more, and you can provide feedback to me via email this week, that'd be fine too. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions?
I just have a quick question. Are you still thinking that the master plan process will be wrapped up in October?
Well, we have the meeting room is scheduled until the end of the year. We have that blocked off. So we have 4 meetings left scheduled with the advisory board with specific topics. If there's a point where we feel like we need those 2 extra months, November and December, we do have the space reserved here in Township Hall, and we'll know that as we get a little bit further along. But at this point, we're looking at wrapping up the advisory board meetings and the feedback from them in October.
We still haven't solved the problem of Supervisor Anne Marie's large shoe store.
Yeah, that's true.
We might need two meetings for that.
We might. She needs a
A
large,
large shoe store or a shoe store for large shoes?
a shoe store for large shoes. It could be a large shoe store too. I don't see why not. Commissioner Watkins has something serious to say, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost, but it's okay. It's okay.
Sorry.
Just really quickly, I didn't want to have a discussion on it. I did see something I've dealt with in other communities, and that is microtransportation, i.e. scooters, birds. Would that be within the Cherry Hill Village, how can I put this? Within Cherry Hill Village, or connectivity from someplace else to Cherry Hill Village with microtransport.
So we can include that as a specific goal or objective here for Cherry Hill Village, but it is something that we're looking at broadly township-wide. So as part of the transportation discussion, we'll also include it in that, but if you want to include it specifically here, we can do that as well. But yes, we're looking at microtransit as a whole throughout the community.
You want me to gavel something? But we still have the public comment section. And I have a question, actually, for you guys.
Well, just, yeah, were there any comments or anything related to these goals, or feel like you're in good shape? If you want to think about it a little bit more?
I think we're in good shape. I mean, I think so. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
There'll be, these aren't set in stone now, so once we look at it a little bit further with more text, and if you guys see some things that you want to amend or tweak or edit or change, whatever, there's still time to do that. This isn't the last time you'll have to look at these.
Yeah, that's the thing, the commission as a whole has not seen a lot of this. Kind of hard for us to comment right now. And as far as getting them, and this is just based on my experience from other communities, the idea of having this wrapped up by the end of October, I don't know how realistic that is. I mean, when we haven't even seen text or anything like that yet.
No, the entire project is not going to be wrapped up in October. The meeting with the Master Plan Advisory Board would be wrapped up in
But I'm
October. We
saying
still have
by
plenty
the
of
end
time.
the year, I don't even know how, I mean, unless you're going to schedule multiple planning commission meetings for us to do in November and December. Again, that's just based on my past experience in other communities. I don't see it going that quickly, but maybe I'm wrong.
My question was unrelated to the Master Plan Advisory Board, but I mean, along the lines of what Commissioner Weber just said, I mean, what is the goal for getting the actual master plan done, not just the advisory board meetings?
Looking at having the bulk of a lot of the draft text written and provided to you by the end of the year, and then with adoption early next year.
Okay.
So this wasn't going to be adopted this year. Yeah.
Okay, great. My question is pertaining to continuing ed, because we do have a continuing ed requirement this year, and I haven't seen anything from you guys about continuing ed lately, so I just wondered if there's anything that you know of that we could participate in?
What were those? We watched something. It was very simple,
Well,
and I remember
obviously,
it. I learned
obviously it
lot
meant a
from
lot to you.
Yeah, we'll send along some info about whether it's from Michigan Association of Planning or Michigan Townships Association.
Yeah.
I know Michigan Association of Planning always has different things that are happening either virtually or throughout the state, so we'll send some information along.
Okay.
Remember, the video was exactly what the article was about.
Yes, I do remember
So
but I
read
don't remember
and
what it
I saw
was.
it, and
Yes.
that's not good, because I don't remember what it was about.
But it was very informative.
It was. Oh, no, I think it was about solar. Was that last year?
I think so, when we were doing the solar ordinance at the same time.
Has that been adopted?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's been adopted, so we've had quite a few permits come through for mostly rooftop installations.
Great, great. Anybody else have anything? I mean, we don't, I'm assuming, Jeanette, you don't have anything else to say as part of the members of the public now, because we have public comment, but, so, all right. You guys want to hang out, or anybody want to make a motion? Yeah. I mean,
Adjourn.
A motion, we don't want to hang out.
oh,
Aaron can hang out.
all right. Who made a motion, a serious motion there?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Watkins and support by Commissioner Foster. All in favor, say aye. 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 Boy, we get some real enthusiasm for that last motion.